Imagine you're able to work and make money off the things that you enjoy doing. All of us, we have a hobby, we have things we like to do for fun. Imagine if you can turn that into business. By the end of this video, you'll have a roadmap on how to make the decision whether your hobby can become a business and how to strategically take the steps to make it into a thriving business. First, you have to identify your marketable passion. What does that mean? That means, does your hobby have a marketplace where you can sell it and make money from it? So whether your hobby is a service, whether your hobby is products, can you actually turn your passion / your hobby into something that brings in dollars? Now, the first things we need to discuss in doing this is, before you even have a hobby, let's assess your skills. So first, what are you really good at? What do people compliment you on? And are you one of the best people in your country, in your city, in your town? Are you one of the best people at that? 2, now, are people willing to pay you to do that? Pay you for your skills? Or people willing to pay you for your products? So that's the second thing we must assess. And third, is there enough people who are willing to pay? Because if it's only 1 or 2 people who are willing to pay, and let's say you have a low margin item, you have to move a lot of numbers. So that means if your profit margin is $1, you can't just sell 5 things per month and you're making $5 and say that's really a business. Do you have enough people who are interested and intrigued, plus willing to pay, to be able to turn your hobby into a business? Now, some of you may not want to turn your hobby into a business. You may be looking instead to possibly just break even or just make it not cost as much as it costs. Now, that's something different, but we're talking about, can you turn your hobby into a business? Second, now that you know that people are willing to pay for it, you have to develop a business model. First, let's define what you're offering. What's the value you're creating? So understanding that, have a clear picture that helps you communicate it better to the market. Secondly, you have to identify who's your target market. Yes, you have 100 people buying it, but are all 100 people paying the same amount? Do they all have similar profiles? Are they all interested in it for the same reason? So figuring out who are your top 20% of your customers who are super passionate about your product. What's their profile? What's their personality? What brings them interest to this product? How do they use it? How do they utilize your services? So really understanding and diving into that. Third, identifying your pricing strategy. How are you pricing your product? Are you doing it based on what competitors price? Are you doing based on the value add you're creating? And are you pricing in a way that makes sure you're getting enough income / profits so you can scale this and move this forward? And finally, plan your operations. Operations is essentially how you fulfill your promise to your customer. You're telling them they're going to be buying this and getting this value. Your operations is how you make sure they actually get the value you promise. So planning out your operations, that means how are you delivering the product? How are you getting feedback? How are you dealing with customers? That is all part of your operations. How are you hiring, firing, moving people? So these are the sequences, and these are things that you'll get better with over time. Finally, know your business model can be flexible. Startups, small businesses, they go through iterations over time. So feel free to do that. Don't feel like once you start it, that's the only thing you can do. You'll iterate and you'll learn what works and what doesn't work. Next is about building your brand. A brand is your reputation on the market, right? It's about how many people know you and or your business and what they know you for. One is, we really remember brands by their stories, right? So develop a compelling story. What's the story behind why people buy your products? Now, some companies have stronger stories than others, and don't think you have to have this perfect at once. What is the change that your product or your service creates in somebody's life? Next is design your visual identity. So how do people perceive you? What are your colors? What is your design style? Are you minimalistic? Are you sophisticated? Are you abstract? How do you present your product, your services, or your marketing materials, right? This could be your Instagram profile. And you can also hire people to walk you through it. So this isn't something you have to do all by yourself. Third is developing your brand voice, what you will say and what you won't say. So having parameters around that, it becomes really helpful and can help you know what to do, know how to interact, know how to respond to feedback. Developing your brand voice is something that can be very helpful, not just for you, but when you scale out and hire other people on your marketing team or hire people who are customer reps, everybody knows how you should interact with a customer, a partner, etc. And four, which really goes into this, establish an online presence. You can do business offline, but today most businesses or customers, they check to see your online profile before they buy. They want to make sure they're getting something of value. So if something's even above $5 or $10, they may want to do a quick background check to make sure this is something legitimate that they're actually going to get and that it's not a scam. So that's something that you have to do and create that. As with everything else, you don't have to do this all by yourself. To be a business, you have to know your legal and financial considerations. questions. So in looking at, let's talk about some steps you need to take. One, you need to decide on your business entity. So your legal entity. So are you going to be an LLC if you're in the US? Are you going to be a corporation? I don't give legal advice, but do not be a sole proprietor. All a sole proprietor means is that you're doing business, but it doesn't give you any of the legal protections that an LLC, a S Corp can do, especially against personal liability. So please don't stay as a sole proprietor. So establish what you want to be. Some of the reasons you may want to be an LLC over an S Corp is maybe it's easier to set up for yourself. Some of the reasons you may want to be an LLC over a corporation is because you want the pass-through taxation. So these are things you can think. Talk to an attorney who focuses on incorporation and they can explain to this to you. It's not sufficient to just talk to a tax preparer. They know some things which are more focused on the tax preparation stuff, but it may not be focused on the liability or investor side. Set up business banking. So there's something called a corporate veil, which protects you in case somebody sues your company. In most cases, they cannot sue you personally. To keep that corporate veil, you have to have a separate business account. Business accounts are pretty simple you can go to mostly large banks or smaller banks. Just make sure, check the fees, check the accessibility of the bank, meaning can you send wires, can you receive wires, can you withdraw money if you need to? So those are some things to think about. And finally, understand your tax obligations. Do you have to collect sales tax? What type of cash should you keep on hand to pay the tax person in your country, in your city, etc.? And how regularly do you need to pay them? Do you need to pay them once a year? Do you need to pay them quarterly? Do you need to pay them monthly? So these are some things that you'll go through as you're setting it up. Next, let's talk about marketing and growing your business. So to get more customers, you're going to have to develop a marketing strategy. You're going to have to execute on that marketing strategy or sales strategy as well. Are you going to do digital marketing, in-person marketing, email marketing? Are you going door to door for sales? Do you need a sales team, etc.? So deciding that and talking to people in your industry and looking at what they do is a great way to go forward with that. Provide exceptional customer service. It's harder to get a new client than it is to keep a client and keep them coming back. So one of the things you want to do is you want to have customer retention. It's very tough to grow if you don't keep the current customer bases, because then growing by 2 people, you don't turn into a 3-client company. You're just a 2-client company. So you have to retain the clients you have in order to really push your growth forward. Continuously improve your offering. Always look for feedback and implement it. Once you start, it'll maybe simple product, simple service, but as you're dealing with customers, you're going to find more what they like and dislike about your service. You're going to understand their problem a bit better. So you're always looking to improve. That's how you stay relevant in the market. That's how you keep moving forward. Finally, consider partnerships. I think with marketing, everybody thinks about it as you're doing it yourself. Sometimes you can do co-marketing, meaning you can team up with another brand, another service, another company, and cross-promote your products. So think about that. Is there any synergies that lie across the markets and that can help you get in front of more customers, or that can help you increase your profit margins? So these are some things to think about. It's not one size fits all, and you can leave comments if you have any other suggestions or questions around this. However, remember, the best marketing is great product or service. So try to make sure you're killing it on developing it, listening to feedback, and making sure your customer is happy, because that's going to spread via their word of mouth, and their recommendation is better than almost anything you can promote yourself. Turning your hobby into a profitable business is an exciting journey. To do this, though, you need perseverance and dedication. So don't forget to implement everything we talked about. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to message us below. And we look forward to seeing that many of you have started up your hobbies into businesses and you're scaling them into beautiful companies. Take care.